it can be so heavy, especially if you have any sort of body image issues, to like voluntarily go on stage every night and be like, here I am, this is what we're working with, you know. Like the reason that I keep doing it is because I know that there's some kid out there that's gonna feel so much better seeing someone like me and being less ashamed about themselves because they see someone like me playing Kimmel or being on stage. You know what I mean?
Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That is Dan. We welcome to the studio, Victoria Canal.
Yay!
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Yeah, and you genuinely are a music fan.
I mean, yeah.
And you're also an incredible artist, and you have an amazing album out. It's called Slowly It Dawns. We're going to talk all about it. I mean, you also, like, Chris Martin has said that you've written the best song he's ever heard. And that's like not like it's true. He said that.
I mean, I don't believe him, but it's very nice of him to say.
You know Chris Martin as a liar? Because I know that man, and I don't think he's a liar.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. I should give him credit. But
or is it hard to accept things like that sometimes?
I mean, yeah, I have absolutely no perspective on what my own music sounds like, you know. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you're so close to it. Like, you listen to it so much and you work on it and you tweak as if it's like a sculpture. I just feel like by the end of it, you have no idea what you're dealing with anymore, and you just kind of hope for the best, you know. But that song's interesting, Swan Song, because it's one of the like songs that I wrote the fastest, and I was like living with my parents at the time and staying in their basement, and I had like nothing but a MIDI keyboard. It was like the pandemic, and they were like sitting in the next room watching TV, and I didn't want them to hear me. So I was very, very quietly, you know, whispering into my mic, same mic as this actually. And yeah, just kind of like embarrassed to make noise. And it's just like a MIDI piano and just one take vocal. It was a very effortless song. I had no idea that it would ever like garner that kind of attention.
But a song about like time and love, correct? Like this idea of like loving something, but then like the time is also ticking away. But like,
yeah, well, the song is really like the last conversation between a father and a son, so, or father and child. So it's like, you know, my someone very close to me was diagnosed with a terminal illness over COVID, and I had a lot of conversations with him that we felt like might be the last conversations to, like, for us to have. I'm kind of nervous, guys. Oh my God, I gotta settle in. I literally was like contemplating smoking before coming in here, just to like be like more chill. But
California Sober, do you want to hit the pen?
Do you have one?
Fuck yeah, do I have one?
Okay, the only thing is my dad would kill me if he saw this part.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Fuck. Oh my God. Yeah, sit down, hit the pen. You can hide it over there. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, mi casa es su casa. Yeah, tastes like strawberry milk.
Yeah, it tastes really
Does it really?
Yeah, you want it, Dan?
No, I'm good, but I didn't know they made strawberry milk flavor these days.
Today could be the day.
No, it's not the day.
Wow. Dan hasn't smoked weed in a long time.
Really?
It's been since college, almost, 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I hit a bong one day, got too paranoid, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And the bong will do it.
The bong and the edibles will do it. Those brownies will
Edibles are crazy.
I know.
Can't do an edible anymore. Yeah. No,
it is true though. Like, it is a medical thing where, like, if you're in your mid-20s, like, you can smoke weed every day, and then one day all of a sudden you smoke weed, and you can get more paranoid than you've ever been before in your life, to a point where you'll never smoke weed again. It's like something happens with one's brain chemistry around 25 that like could totally realign your relationship with the drug. It's interesting.
Crazy. I mean, I don't do it a lot, but just once in a while, to be more in my body, just like one little toke, and I'm good, you know, chilling. All right, so what were we talking about? We were talking about Swan Song. I moved back home over COVID and found out that a really close loved one was diagnosed with a fatal illness, and it prompted a lot of conversations about grief and life and loss and what really matters. And my conclusion is that what really matters in life is forgiveness, because it's the hardest thing to do towards others, and it's even harder to do towards yourself. And so I was listening to podcasts on grief to help me process. And there was one that talked about the 4 things to say to those you love before you die. And it was the following. It was, thank you, I love you, I forgive you, and can you forgive me? And that's what I wrote the song about, was this idea that as long as we're alive, we can forgive each other, and that's worth doing while you can.
That's really something. And hits personally in a very deep way, because, like, you know, sometimes you lose somebody that you love and you don't get a chance to complete all four of those things.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of the four, maybe none of it.
Totally. And it is so hard to forgive, you know, like, especially when someone, like a family member or someone has wronged you or has, done some wrong by you. But I just feel like it's a gift to yourself to know how to really unconditionally forgive someone. And when I do my live show, I, between the first chorus and the second verse, I ask the crowd if anybody came alone. I'm like, did anybody come alone this evening? And then a few people raise their hand, and then I go, okay, anyone around that person, very gently, consensually put your arm around them. And anyone that came with a person, just put your arms around each other. And the catharsis that I see happen in the room, like the tears that are shed and just like the leaning on each other, is so profound. It's so beautiful. It's like, if I do nothing else except having written that song, I'm good, you know?
At what point do you realize that these conversations you were having with your friend need to be turned into a song for your own processing, or what was it?
I don't know. I mean, I need to write to get through shit, you know? And I was like alone in this COVID-y place, and I just didn't know how long I would have this person around. And I started writing music that I didn't think anybody would hear, and that's what my Elegy EP is. It's like 4 songs that I thought no one would ever hear, and it chronicled my relationship with grieving that person.
For a bunch of reasons, Swan Song needs to be on your debut album.
Yeah.
Right? Because, it's an incredible song, but it's a big part of your story.
Yeah, I just couldn't leave it behind, you know? The debut album is like the big statement, and Swan Song is like the truest, closest song to my heart. You know, I feel like every songwriter probably has the one song that feels like it's like it lives like on the inside of the sleeves of their organs. And Swan Song is that for me.
It's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Thank you.
It's really beautiful, and never heard anything like it. It's really special. A bunch of other songs to talk about, California Sober being one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Different vibe to Swan Song for sure.
A little bit.
Different mood. Yeah.
The album's great. You can listen to it slowly. It dawns. There's a link below. It's all on Amazon Music. It's this like perfect blend of pop meets like singer-songwriter meets like exactly what I loved out of like people like Sarah Bareilles, Nora Jones, like a bunch of people that were making music kind of in the mid 2000s. It's like, and it's everything I need out of and everything I think was missing for a while from this like segment of pop, if that makes any sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Thanks so much. I mean, part of the idea with the album was that as you get deeper into it, the perspective gets more complex and older and wiser. So the first few songs, including California Sober, come from a very youthful, naive, overconfident place. You know, it's funny performing Cali Sober live now because I'm like not there. Like, it's a very sexy song about a very hoe-y summer, and it's been a while, you guys. So I'm like singing the song and I'm like, can't remember what that feels like, but I'll try to channel it for this show. But yeah, I mean, it's a really fun song. My friend Merrick had just come from Cuba, and my family's from Cuba, and he was like studying music there for a month and came back with a bunch of cool chord progressions, and he showed me one, and I was like, oh, that's so sick. So I wrote the song based off that chord progression and was excited to like implement my Cuban roots in a way that I hadn't done before.
You grew up all over the world, right?
I did, yeah.
Well, like an army kid or what? What was it?
Kinda. My dad worked in international business. So my mom always wanted to travel, and she's from like rural Alabama, and my dad's from Spain. And the story goes that my mom applied for an internship and like lied on her resume. She said she spoke Spanish when she didn't speak a word of Spanish. And she, by some miracle, got this job in Spain, and my dad was the guy hired to pick her up from the airport. And she was engaged at the time, but she broke off her engagement for my dad. Sold all her shit and moved to Spain, and they've been married 36, maybe 37 years this year. So
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty nuts, and I have a song about that too. It's not on the album. It's called Braver. But yeah, anyway, all that said, that she just always had this itch to travel, and she kind of gave my dad that bug. And when they initially were going to travel the world by bicycle, but then they got pregnant, so they ended up having my brother, and then each one of us was like born in a different place and went to international schools all over the world. So yeah, I'm what they call a third culture kid. You ever heard of that before?
No.
Yeah, so it's where like one parent is from one place, another's from another, and then the kid is born and raised somewhere else altogether. And
And you were in Munich?
I was born in Munich, but I lived in Shanghai and Tokyo and Dubai and Madrid, Barcelona, Paris, London, Amsterdam. Yeah, moving basically every year.
Do you make friends?
I make friends pretty easily.
Now you do. But back then,
Yeah.
isn't it hard to keep up friendships if you're moving constantly?
Yeah, but I mean, this was like kind of at that age where you're just like friends with the people around you, and there's no like concern with keeping in touch because you're kids, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I think it only got hard when we moved to Dubai and everyone was like getting to become a teenager. I was like 13, 14, and kids got mean. And I was like finding a lot of solace in music. And at that school, I was only really friends with like 2 girls and the music teacher who I had a huge crush on. And so I would just spend all my time in the music lab, like around him. And he taught me how to co-write a song and like book a gig. Matthew Langridge, my guy. He was so cute. He was like in his mid-30s with a mohawk, had like 2 really sweet kids and his beautiful wife. And I was like, man, I like didn't know if I wanted to be him when I grew up or like be with him when I grew up. But it was a very like cute first crush. Actually, funnily enough, he in his youth, like maybe early 20s, was the front of house for Coldplay before they were Coldplay, when they were called Starfish.
That's crazy.
For like their second gig or something. Isn't that crazy? So it feels so full circle that then I would come to get to know Chris. And anyway, all that said, kids were mean. That's when I really got into songwriting, and I even like changed to online school and went to this conservatory in Barcelona. We like moved to Barcelona. I did online school. This is actually one of my favorite periods of life. I would wake up at 6 a.m. and then from 7 a.m. to like 11, I would do schoolwork online. I would take the bus into the city, and then I would study music from like noon till 6 p.m. And then the students who were a lot older than me, they were probably like 18, 19, 20, and I was like 14. They would take me under their wing and like offer me a cigarette and like take me to a show and show me how to lead a band. And it was like the jazz scene in Barcelona. It was awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was like a year and a half.
That's, I mean, incredibly special. Mm-hmm. And like, I also very much understand that energy of like, I look back at like this time in my life where I went to high school and then like took the bus into the city and did a radio show every day. It was like the best years of my life.
I know.
And you'd wake up every day, 5:45. I'd get no sleep. Like I'd be awake for 18 hours a fucking day on energy drinks and like Adderall from just being a fucking ADHD-ridden high school kid. And those are the best years.
I know. I look back at those so fondly. My equivalent to the Adderall and like Red Bull and stuff was Frappuccinos and the chocolate chip cookies. I got to the point where I was getting a venti Frappuccino on the way in and on the way out with a cookie. God, it's a miracle I'm not diabetic. But yeah, I mean, I still look back at those days so fondly because I was just dreaming it all up, you know? I mean, I'm so grateful for my life, and there's still so much I want to do. Obviously, like most of the people watching this aren't going to know who I am. I'm not like famous, but I have gotten to the point where the industry has like wounded me a little, and I miss the Victoria that was like starry-eyed and just like so excited to even just book a gig.
Dude, naive as fuck, and just all you want to do is perform.
I just miss being naive, man.
No, I know.
Don't you sometimes?
Yes. Are you kidding? What do I say? Isn't that the feeling I try to chase every single day?
Yeah.
And
So how do you get it?
No, I don't get it. I don't. Like, I want to wake up in a world where I can't understand exactly, like, the 4 things that potentially could happen.
Yeah.
And, like, when you understand the ripple effects, you then have fear to take a leap. You know what I mean?
I know.
But when you're young and, like, you have no fucking idea and you're just so, like, clear-eyed, bushy-tailed, like, you have no idea what could be. So you just do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you don't ask permission.
Yes.
And you learn to beg for forgiveness along the way. It's like a whole thing.
I was so overconfident and so bad. Like, I
Totally.
was so bad at music, but my sheer drive and, like, whoops, did I just get lipstick all over
No,
my
you're
face?
good.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
Yeah. Just the sheer, like, desire to make it happen. Like, I just wasn't, I didn't have any room to be self-conscious.
At what point in your career does that go away, though? I guess for both of you, where you're
Well,
like,
I guess you always need some to, like, keep the drive forward. And that's one of the reasons that I love being friends with older artists like Chris and, you know, all these other people.
Hozier.
Yeah, Hozier.
No, people fucking love you. You go to the Ivor Novellas, which is, like, really one of the most prestigious awards in music, one of the most prestigious rooms to be in if you are a musician. And, like, they don't get nearly the recognition or praise that the award show deserves. But if you go there, you are... Nah, you're talking about the princess of the Ivors or something. Like,
So kind.
it's true.
Thanks, man. Well, all that to say, being friends with older artists is helpful because they've been through all the validation, you know, all the parts of the career that you think are going to fix you but don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, okay, now what? And that's when they really start getting to the meat of what life is about. You know, like, it's just so easy to spend years and years pining after what you think is going to make you feel worthy or valid as an artist and as a human being. But ultimately, no matter what you achieve or don't achieve, what matters is your relationship with yourself. And I think seeing people who either never got what they wanted or did get what they want, they both have to reckon with themselves in different ways. I can't remember who it is. Maybe it's like Oscar Wilde. There's a quote that's like, the 2 main human tragedies in life are a man not getting what he wants and a man getting what he wants. And it's like, either way, it's complicated.
It's interesting because it is. Like, you get what you want. There's a whole other set of baggage that comes with it. You don't get what you want. Whole other set of shit that comes with it.
Yeah, like, you know, people talk about, in regards to me, like, something that's been coming up in the press that I've noticed is that I know a lot of famous people. Okay, cool. I guess that's a cool talking point. But, like, the main... Jesus, it's not that interesting, but, like... but, like, you know, I feel like they don't say that about, like, an actual famous person. You wouldn't be like, oh, that famous person knows other famous people. It's, like, just assumed. Anyway, all that to say, like, wait, what was I going to say about that? Famous people, that's not being interesting. Fuck, I forgot.
It's okay.
Fuck, I totally forgot what I was going to say. Anyway.
Do you remember when you actually wrote a song that you considered good?
That I consider good?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're talking about. I mean, I thought it was so good at the time. Like, when you first write a song, I feel like there's a feeling that it's the best thing ever to have ever been created. And you, like, listen to it over and over and over again 100 times. I feel like my relationship with my art is one of just, like, totally being on board and stoked on what I make, or just absolutely fucking hating it. And there's, like, no in between. Even with the album, like, now that it's out, I'm stoked, and I'm, like, listening to it on the bus, and I'm excited.
And it's years in the making.
And it's years in the making, but, like, 3 weeks leading up to my album, I was like, this is a bad idea. I hate everything about this. Like, what the hell is California Sober? This is so stupid. But, like, but now it's out, and I'm like, wait, actually, like, I took risks. I'm happy I took risks. And ultimately, the album is kind of meta because it does deal with this, like, naive overconfidence in the beginning.
Yes.
Then this totally, like, what am I doing with my life, and why was I wearing that thing, and why did I say that thing? And then the reckoning of, like, your relationship with yourself in the latter half of the album, you know? So in a weird way, I'm proud of it because it kind of represents what I'm currently going through as I progress in my career.
Interesting that you kind of, like, you know, wrote about it before you started going through it.
Yeah, life imitates art.
Or art imitates life.
Or art imitates life.
But you know, it is interesting because like right there in the middle of the album, like as you're making this progression towards maturity or whatever, like is it Vauxhall or how do you say it?
Vauxhall.
Vauxhall, Jesus.
Vauxhall.
I'm like, is it an X? Is it silent? But you end up like balancing like this idea of like you're weighing your dreams versus like a traditional path and reality in life. It is this like everybody reaches that point in life.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh fuck, am I actually like am I on the right track? Are my dreams actually obtainable, or should I really take a different approach to this thing?
Yeah, or even if they are obtainable, is it what I want?
Yeah.
You know? That's what I was going to say. So with famous people, knowing famous people, I don't know if you find this at all, but like
I don't know any.
when you're around them, people think it's so cool that you know a famous person, but up close, you just start to compare yourself. I mean, I really struggle with comparison. It's one of the things I talk about on the album. And it's like to be around a very rich, very recognizable, very successful person who's like, you know, just like set and has a really nice house. There, you know, you just start to think you are them, and then you go back to your own flat and you're like, oh wait, I have 2 roommates and like we share a bathroom. And then, you know, it's just like puts everything into a different perspective. It's like flying first and then going back to economy. You know, it's like eating blue cheese and then going back to brie. You know, the brie tastes like nothing once you've had the blue. So I find that's like something that I struggle with. Have you ever experienced a feeling like that?
You know, there's this. Okay, so not fully, but I had realized that like there is truth to you are the company you keep, right?
Yeah.
And real recognizes real, and there's a reason why like people recognize something in you, and why you're friends, and why you connect, and all these things. And I don't feel like I was comparing myself, but I do feel like I was forcing myself to rise, maybe further out of my comfort zone than I would have maybe otherwise been ready for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I was seeing.
That's so healthy.
Yeah. But to be fair, like I was never in a place where I would ever look at my friends as competition, right? Like, you know, if you look at any of my friends that the world is very much aware of, I'm not a pop star.
You're not.
I thought you were
You want me to confirm that?
Looking over for confirmation.
I'm not
Fact check.
I'm not a star of stage, you know?
Confirmed.
And of the screen, unless it's the fucking screen on your computer or your phone that's vertical or horizontal and the radio. You know what I mean? Like I was kind of in like a thing on my own. So it was a little different. Like I
know, but I feel like even outside of that, like something that I've felt is even as a kid, you know, as a gawky, awkward 15-year-old, I would watch like, you know, a season of Friends and having seen like Rachel and Monica on screen and just how beautiful they were, and this is all like tied up with body image and you know, being a woman perhaps, but like I would come away almost feeling like I was one of them, and then I would catch a glimpse of my reflection and be like, oh, my arms don't look like their arms, my stomach doesn't look like their stomach, you know, like my hair doesn't fall that way. And you just feel affected by that. You feel differently about yourself, you know? I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but like, I just feel like I wonder if it's a feeling that a lot of other people
100%
feel.
Yes.
Particularly, yeah, I saw this movie yesterday, A Different Man. Have you heard of it?
No.
Starring Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson, who is he's a guy with a disorder,
Yes.
like a facial disorder, where he has like growth all over his face, and the film is such a brilliant commentary on like beauty as currency in society, and that's something that's like always really taken up a lot of space in my mind as someone with a disability. It's just like how differently you're treated based on the way you look, and how insidious that can actually be to a person's like confidence. But then also part of the message of the film, from what I gleaned from it, is that no matter what you look like, no matter what you have, it's all about what you do with it. You know, the confidence, the shine in your eyes, the willingness to connect and put yourself out there. And I was really, really moved by that film because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
Did you have that own realization in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were asking if I made friends growing up. The way to make friends is to, when you walk in a room, you smile, you shake hands, you hug, you ask people about themselves, you play a part, and it is authentic to me. It's not like I'm putting on something that's not real, but like charisma is useful, you know? And it, as a kid who was different, I needed anything that I could get to be able to like not just be the girl with one arm in the room. Like I wanted to be the singer. I wanted to be the girl with a really toothy grin, you know, like a huge smile and bright eyes and like funny, open, you know. And it's funny, like I was really goofy and uninhibited. I've actually maybe like even lost some of that confidence over time. I'm trying to like get back to feeling just like okay as I am, you know?
It ebbs and flows.
It does ebb and flow, totally.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But does any part of you credit your disability with why you ended up taking up music?
Well, I mostly credit my grandma because she was a piano teacher and led the choir at her church. And from when I was like 4 years old, all I wanted to do was sit on her lap and watch her play and sing along and play along. So she always she noticed from very early that I had a talent for it. So honestly, I think I would have made music either way, but I think my limitation is actually quite useful because nobody's going to play piano the way that I do. I might not be the most dexterous piano player, but it's going to sound like me, you know?
Totally.
So
it's good. But also your perspective on storytelling is just totally unique to you, but yet relatable to everybody. And that's a skill that like, yeah, it's a muscle, but it's a muscle conditioned by experience in life.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have to live what you're creating out of thin air, essentially.
Totally. And also, like you said, I'm such a huge fan of music. I'm also a huge fan of film and of literature, and storytelling in principle is, I think, the most profound tool for connection. And to like partake in that in any way as a songwriter or otherwise is really the only thing I'm interested in doing.
Are you ripping stories solely from your reality, or will you go the imagination route at all? Or is it just really off of who you are and what you've lived?
I think I often look to other people's stories and experiences to inform how I feel within my own life and context, but I don't think I would be able to write about something that I don't like relate to in some way. But I think there's like a beautiful intertwining of things, you know, like Black Swan initially was about a really close relative of mine who struggles with bipolar and perfectionism and like social anxiety. And I kind of just wanted to pay homage to them. And then beyond writing the song, like performing it, I realized actually the song it's me, you know, it's my life. It's my constant yearning to be someone else or better or just somewhere else. And that very like human, it's very human, you know, and that's also that's the reason I feel okay talking about it and like admitting it openly. Maybe I sound like a really negative person, but I feel like it's like the most human thing to experience is this like dissatisfaction with what you have. And initially, I wrote the song from the perspective of a relative, and then it very clearly became my own experience.
How do you realign your life after that? Do you, or do you just?
Well, it's a constant ongoing thing. I mean, generally, I feel quite happy with my life. I think it's my full-time job to think, period. So, like, I feel like I am thinking about all of these things constantly, like an obsession. And that's why there's so many layers of complexity to it. feel like if I wasn't a songwriter, I'd probably be a philosopher, you know? And I think most philosophers are clinically insane. Like, why would you do that to yourself? But that's what I've like chosen to do. And yeah, I'm just like interested in the layers of it. As far as realigning goes, like, I think it's a constant checking in with yourself and taking care of yourself and being honest with where you are. I think the main thing that I've like learned in therapy is just to allow what's there. And that's part of what the album is too. It's just allow everything that's there. The sexiness, the messiness, you know, the love, the grief, the self-doubt, the comparison, you know, all of it lives in the same person. And I was like, I asked my best friend sometime last year, I was like really in a kind of wounded place. And I was like, Lucy, my best friend, I was like, Lucy, do you think I'm a sad person? Or like a negative person or a bad person? And she was like, Victoria, I think you're a person. And that's it. Like, you're a person going through the thing. And there's no like exception to that. You're just going through every part of it and deeply feeling all of it. So anyway, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. But a part of that deep feeling is why you're an incredible artist. And
Thanks.
it's true. Like, you can't make and do what you do without feeling deeply and with everything you have.
Yeah, I tried so hard to be fun last year and like make fun music and like put on a fun live show with these first 4 songs on the album. And it is so exhausting to try to be fun all the time. I don't know how Chapel Roan does it, because she's like, yeah, I just like started writing fun songs so that I could have like a fun show and a fun tour. And it takes so much out of me. Like, I really feel so much more alive and fulfilled and authentic to myself when I'm like digging way under the surface, you know?
Are you working mostly alone, or do you collaborate with people? Like, when are you digging? Like, where are you, and who are you with when you're digging under the surface?
A lot of times it's alone, like in my bedroom, just like sat with my guitar. Other times it's with a friend at the piano, or, and for a couple songs, I co-wrote them with different people. So it really depends. Definitely the ones that dig way deep are solo. And the ones that are like a bit more fun, that actually feel fun to make and write and record, are mostly co-writes.
Interesting. Yeah. But it makes sense, right? Like, you know, well, who are you sharing the ones you do alone with? And like, when do you know that it's time?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I usually send them to Lucy first, my best friend. And she's always like really excited. She's a songwriter too, and we send each other stuff all the time. Beyond that, I keep it pretty close to my chest until I have like a recording of it that I believe in. You know, it's my diary entry. You know, my favorite songs are the ones that I genuinely believed no one would ever hear. Like, out of principle, I almost wrote them so that no one would ever hear them. And then they turn out to be my most authentic work.
Does Shape and She Walks In fit in that category?
Exactly, yeah.
What did it mean for you to write and release those songs?
Great question. So Shape and She Walks In are the first songs that I wrote about my limb difference and my own experience in my body. And yeah, they were very cathartic to write. Like, I cried while writing them, and my mom had always like suggested, she was like, are you ever going to write about what it's like to be you? Like, what it's like to have one arm? And I'd always be like, Mom, shut up. Like, that's so stupid. No one's going to want to hear that. And then I don't know what it was that was the catalyst to me finally sitting down and writing those songs. But I think the most beautiful thing about writing those songs was singing them in front of Hozier's fans when I was opening for him on tour. And just watching these young queer women resonate with my lyrics was like, so, I can't describe the feeling. You know, it's like you feel so lonely sometimes when you're writing this stuff, because it's like you don't know if anyone's gonna like feel that way. And then to like sing in front of 10,000 people and have like people like singing those lyrics back to you is just so cool. Sorry. Yeah, it's just so cool. I do feel really, really lucky that like being authentic to myself has paid off in that way, you know?
You feel understood.
Yeah. And I just feel like I'm doing something for...
I have tissues if you need.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'll be fine.
Okay.
I just don't want my makeup to be ruined. So let me know. Will you keep an eye on me? Okay, thanks. I forgot where I was. The songs, body image. Yeah, you just feel like it's a quite solitary experience, and that was really the beginning of me knowing who I was as an artist, actually, was putting out those songs. I was like, okay, now I know what my purpose is as an artist. You know, it was otherwise like maybe self-indulgent leading up to that point. I didn't know who it was for. And then the Hozier tour was when I figured out who it was for. It's like girls mostly girls, but a lot of, you know, guys and non-binary folk, but like young people that feel weird about their body, you know? Like that's who I'm doing all of this for. That's why I like bother to get on stage. Otherwise I just wouldn't get on stage. I don't know, you guys know what it's like to be on camera all the time, but it is so exhausting to be perceived. Like it can be so heavy, especially if you have any sort of body image issues, to like voluntarily go on stage every night and be like, here I am, this is what we're working with, you know, like hope it's okay. And like the fact that the reason that I keep doing it is because I know that there's some kid out there that's gonna feel so much better seeing someone like me and being less ashamed about themselves because they see someone like me playing Kimmel or being on stage. You know what I mean?
100%. I think there's a lot of people out there that do not feel comfortable with their body whatsoever. But I also think there's a lot of kids out there who also are going to have disabilities in some way, shape, or form who feel like they can't do things like be a fucking musician because they don't have a grandmother like you did. Like they need, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a sign of hope. That's a sign of action. Like that's solidarity. That's recognition. That's mutual understanding, which is all people want, is to be understood.
That's all people want.
That's it.
A sense of belonging and connection, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that is like my overriding sense of purpose. Otherwise, I just wouldn't publish music, you know what I mean? I would just make music and never put it anywhere. But I do feel that responsibility to publish myself because I feel like it might do something for someone out there.
But is that something that only comes to fruition, something that you realize only after your mom pushes you to like write about these topics and release those records?
My mom pushed me a lot growing up to do things that I was rather like otherwise unwilling to do, like practice piano and perform and things like that. You know, I was like scared. And she would put me out there and like, apply to a music summer camp on my behalf and just be like, you can do it, you know? So she really helped me find my confidence in myself, as did my dad. Like, I have amazing parents, and my dad always just like was like, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it, you know? So I think I've always needed like a little push. But as I said, when I was young, like I was pretty overconfident. Like I was a pretty cocky kid, amazingly. So, yeah.
But what a valuable thing for your mom to put you out like that and to put you in those positions, willingly or not. Like,
God, I mean, it made my life what it is, you know? It made me an artist. It's so amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Even giving you the confidence to go and like be 14 and like hang out with adults while like learning how to like make music.
I know.
It's great.
Yeah, she was always like, spread your wings, girl. You know, like when I was 18, I saved up whatever I had made from tips and booked a one-way trip to Australia. And she's like, go on right ahead. You know, like she was always, I was actually dating this guy. Oh, wow. I just had a major flashback. I was 18 and like dating this guy in Sydney who I had met, and like very shortly after meeting him, agreed to go on a road trip. And we were on this road trip, and this man, he was just the worst. Oh my God, he was the worst. And he he did this thing where he would like eat Doritos and then not clean his hands and then like drive and shit with like the Dorito powder on his hands and then like want to touch, like lean over and touch and like kiss me. I was like, oh God, I got the ick right away. Anyway, so like less than a day in, or maybe like two days in, we were driving up the coast, the east coast of Australia, and I literally was so tired of this man that I asked him to pull over. We were like in the outback. I was like, I need to exit this car right now. So I grabbed my pillow and my spoon and a bag of salt, and I was like, this is it. Goodbye, sir. And then he drove off, and I like walked a mile to the nearest bus station, sat there for 5 hours, and then this random bus came, and it was like a really ratty bus with like no one inside, and this like kind of creepy old dude, and he was driving to Nimbin, which is the weed capital of Australia. At this time, I was totally not. I mean, I am a late bloomer in many respects. So anyway, I hopped in this bus, and then on the way, like, I ended up staying at a homeless shelter that night because there were no availabilities at any hotels. So I like cooked my way, like I cooked my dinner, cooked everyone dinner in exchange for housing at this homeless shelter. And with all these hippies that were like stoned out of their minds. Anyway, really amazing experience when I was 18. And I called my mom the next day and told her all about it. And she's just laughing her face off. She was like, you sound just like me when I was a kid. I really thought she'd be mad at me. And she was just proud of me. You know, she's like, wow, I really see myself in you. And I'm so proud of you. So anyway.
A lot of things are learned from those moments, right? And like when you're tested, you end up like, I don't know, like it's growth.
It's growth, and it's like, I feel like adapting is a very useful tool.
Yes.
Being able to adapt is probably, I would say, one of my bigger strengths.
Do you feel like you are a citizen of the planet? Like, where do you call home? Is it London?
Oh my gosh. My cultural identity is highly confused. I have no idea what's going on or where I'm from. But where would I call home? I mean, wherever my parents are, I call home. I actually like had this early morning panic a couple of days ago. Man, I'm really spilling my guts to you guys. At 4 a.m., like 2 nights ago, I woke up and I realized this very thing, that my definition of home is where my parents are. So once that's gone, where's home, you know? And I literally like have changed around quite a few of my plans this year to like go home, because I realized that when things are really overwhelming, I've always thought, okay, well, worst comes to worst, I can just fly home and be with my parents, you know, like have their warm embrace and be comfy. And but someday that's not going to be there. And I was like, shit, well, I need to make time for that right now, you know? Yeah, I feel like that's something maybe people my age aren't really thinking about unless someone's sick in their family.
Totally.
Yeah, so that's like been on my mind a lot.
Very real.
Yeah.
Very real.
Mm-hmm.
People don't really understand that, like, we have very limited time on this earth.
Yeah.
And time is the most valuable commodity, substance, whatever you want to call it. There's nothing more valuable with time, because with time you can do anything.
Yeah.
More valuable than money, anything.
I know.
And it's hard.
Totally, especially with phones. Oh my God, what a time suck.
And getting old is hard.
Yeah.
Like,
how old are you?
I'm 31. I
How old
have to
are
think
you?
about it.
34.
34. You say it like you're like dropping a very old age.
I'm an old man.
And you're 34.
I'm getting up there.
He enjoys aging.
Very young.
I like aging. You think
You
look,
do?
Yeah, I look back at like the things I was doing and saying in like my early 20s, mid 20s. I was like, what was I doing? Who was
Yeah.
I trying to be?
Yeah.
You just kind of learn who you are as you get older, and it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a fear of aging whatsoever.
Not to call you out, but I feel like that's also like a male thing. You know?
Probably.
Yeah, I feel like women have a much more complex relationship with aging.
Totally.
Nothing against you.
I don't know where to go.
I don't know what to say right now. No, but I mean, it's like...
No, it is true.
Yeah, but that said, like, very wise perspective. And I do think that there is that option available to women, too. But back to, like, the beauty is currency thing, I think it's interesting how across the board when I talk to older women, there's a lot of... it's, like, very present. You know, what does aging mean about me?
People feel like they have an expiration date, and the reality is like, nah, we shouldn't look at the world that way. We shouldn't treat people differently based on the fucking number. but it's hard. It's like, I don't know, like so many beauty standards, social standards, everything is geared around young. What's new? What's fresh?
Totally.
What's of today?
Yeah. I mean, did you see The Substance?
Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
really good.
It's like, that's the whole idea around that movie, right?
Yeah,
It's
she's
like,
incredible.
Demi?
Yes. Demi
Demi?
Moore. Have
Yeah.
you seen The Substance?
I don't watch many movies.
Yeah, I know.
You don't watch many movies?
No.
Movies are like the best thing about life.
I can't sit and watch and I can't concentrate. I'm just like, my mind's running a million places.
Really?
Yeah.
ADHD king.
I don't know what it is. There's just something about movies. I just can't get into them.
Oh,
Just not for me.
wow.
That's why I like a song. It's 3 minutes and you are done.
3 minutes and you're done. You're out of there.
In and out.
Wow.
Everything Dan starts, he's just thinking about when it's going to end.
Yeah.
So,
Whenever I did watch movies, the first thing I would look up was like, what's the runtime? Like, how long do I have to set aside for this?
but you do the same thing
Wow.
with meals. Like, if he gets a like food, he literally eats it within seconds.
Wow.
Everything needs to be done immediately.
So do you feel like you use your time really efficiently?
He savors nothing.
I don't like to waste a minute.
Wow.
But what? No offense. What are you doing with all the minutes you're collecting?
I don't know. I feel like I fill my time pretty well. Like whenever people talk about they watch this show and they watch that show and they did this, I'm like, when do you have the time to do all of this?
Yeah, but what are you doing instead?
Working maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are you a workaholic?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
And you?
I mean, I work.
And I play. I work and I play.
I enjoy what I do, so I don't consider it work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Hey,
good point.
speaking of time, look at this transition. How can I be a person? It seems like half that song, it's not lyrics. It's just kind of the music that plays out.
Does that bother you?
No, I love it.
Clearly it's not efficient enough.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's great.
That's cool. Well, thanks. Yeah.
Why did you decide to go with that on that song?
I don't know. I just felt like the music was like telling the feeling more than any more words would. You know, like I feel like what I said in that song is exactly what I wanted to say about the person that I wrote that song about.
Totally fucking fine. Very mellow, but a very intense title. You're not fucking fine.
Yeah.
Or are you? I don't know. That's the question. I'm looking for an answer.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote that song when I had strep throat and I actually couldn't like sing. And my idea was, could I write a song start to finish without knowing what it would sound like when I sang it? So I sat down and wrote this. I wrote the piano part all the way through, including like the big like the instrumental section. And the lyrics just flowed out as a form of tension. The idea with that song is like the tension between making noise, taking up space, being someone, versus leaning back, listening, and surrendering to like the beauty that the world has to offer. And so through the arc of the song, you know, I'm singing and really like kind of talking into the mirror about like, you try so hard. Like, why are you trying so hard? And then the peace and actual surrender comes from the instrumental section where I just like, the visual is like laying back in a field and just like watching the birds fly over me. And then I come back to sort of, okay, I got to do my job again and be and take up space and be someone again, you know?
I understand that.
Does you get it?
Yeah, I do. I relate to that. Interesting. Where do you go when you're writing? I mean, obviously, is this a song done by yourself?
That was on my own, yeah.
Huh.
Oh, actually, the recording in the, like on the album was the first time I ever sang that song. I pressed record. I hadn't sung it out loud, and I just played it once through, and that was it.
Really?
Yeah.
Are all these songs starting to lyrics? Or are they starting to you playing chords on a piano or guitar?
It's usually chords, and then I journal every single day. I have since 2004.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so healthy.
Yeah, well, or it leads to overthinking like a motherfucker. But
Yeah, just going back all the way to 2004.
yeah. Oh
That's
my god.
scary.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was 6 when I started journaling,
Wow.
pretty obsessively, and so I'm always pulling from my journal, always pulling from my notes for lyrics. You know, there's like an incredible backlog that I refer to anytime I sit to write a song.
So, okay, where were you? What day did you pull from in your diary for Totally Fucking Fine?
Well, that
And is there something that starts it? A lyric?
yeah, the lyric that started that song was actually from a conversation I had with an artist called Madison Cunningham. If you know Madison Cunningham, she's amazing. And we were just talking about how like horrible it feels to be sick on tour, and she said it feels like shredded glass down your throat, and that was the lyric that like spawned the whole idea. And then there was another lyric in the second verse, if I can remember it. Yeah, the lyric is like, digging around in your frenemies' past, you're sharing their business when nobody asked. What is the deal? What hole would you fill if everybody stopped in their tracks and paid attention to you? That's the lyric. And it's like, I don't really even know what it means. But it just kind of felt right and felt like I don't really know how to talk about it. Anyway.
Do a lot of these songs like end up presenting themselves fully to you, like the more you perform them, and like you said, like one of these records, like you wrote about somebody else, but it really a Black Swan ended up
Black
being
Swan.
about you.
Yeah, I do find that I understand my songs more as I perform them more. Like they gain meaning over time, for sure.
You just mentioned overthinking, and earlier you were talking about a conversation you had with your best friend Lucy, and it reminded me of 15%. Is
Yeah.
that something you feel like? Do you feel like you're often in your own head thinking like that everyone doesn't like you, or you're kind of annoying people?
I am.
Calling me out, yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to read the lyrics there.
No, I call myself out. You know what? Actually, recently I had to do a show where there was like a deaf interpreter, and we had to go through each of my lyrics and talk about like the sarcasm in it and the irony in it and stuff. And I was like, oh wow, I'm like really exposing myself here.
Yeah.
I am talking about everything in my lyrics. It's crazy, crazy exposing. But anyway, yes, I do overthink a lot. I do have it. 15% is about what I call the God and Goblin complex. It's like, depending on the day, you either wake up feeling like you are the star meant to be the center of the universe, or you feel like, just like a plastic bag flowing in the wind, in the words of Katy Perry or whatever that lyric is. So, and there's just like no in between, at least in my experience. So that's what that song is about.
Yeah, it reminded me when I used to go out and party, and you would like wake up in the morning, you're like, everyone hates me. I
Yeah.
pissed off everyone. Nobody likes me. I have no friends.
Anxiety.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. And then
exactly what the song's
And then
about.
you're like, wait, everybody else probably feels the same way, and like they were thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you, unless I guess you get way too drunk and make a fool of yourself.
Yeah.
But really, that's what I thought about the entire time I was listening to it.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what it's about. You hit the nail on the head.
Dan's been there. He's lived it.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to experience those things and make the mistakes to learn not to do them again.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Damn.
By the way, Slowly It Dawns is the album. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. Link below. One of my favorites is Talk. So good.
Oh, really?
Great song.
Oh, cool.
Love it.
That's fun.
And it's upbeat. Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you're an upbeat guy?
Yeah. I mean, no, I really like, I love deep lyrics. I love just good storytelling.
Cool.
I really do, which
Yeah.
you serve.
Well, thanks. Talk is about a highly inconvenient crush, which I seem to have more often than not. It's like people that are clearly unavailable, you feel more drawn to.
That's unhealthy. You're in that phase of life, eh?
Yeah. Woo,
Like,
been
what's
in
their
that phase
deal?
of life.
Are they like straight? Are they in relationships?
Yeah,
All
it's
of the
like they're
above?
either like Christian or old or married or like
older married.
it's like all of the above. So yeah. Anyway, that's what Talk's about. And and the point is sometimes it's the best thing, even if you feel it with that person in the room and it's like palpable, the best thing is to not talk about it.
Is that really the best thing?
Well, I mean, sometimes not talking about it makes it all that much sexier, and like more palpable and so much tension. But like, yeah, I mean, ultimately it's when someone's clearly not available, I think it's like probably the wisest thing not to put yourself through that. You know what I mean? By like making a move or
Yeah, but you try anyway.
sometimes.
It's okay. We don't talk about that.
Maybe them not being available makes them more appealing.
I know. Well, I've been talking about this in therapy. Literally, my therapist was like, Victoria, it's the fact that it's a fantasy that it's so appealing to you. If it suddenly became like a real option, you wouldn't want it anymore. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So now I'm like, okay, I can enjoy the fact that it is a fantasy and actually relish that I don't want that to change. You know what I mean? And that way nobody gets hurt, and I don't do any stupid things.
Healthy. Yeah.
Healthier than before, for sure. It's getting better.
Progress.
Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard you in the past say you don't write about romance that often.
Yeah.
It seems like you're dabbling a bit on this album. Maybe June Baby?
Yeah, I think there are 3 songs about romance on this album. June
What?
Baby, Talk, and kind of Cali Sober. But yeah, I just like haven't been in that many like relationships. And I always kind of just like struggle to talk about romance in a way that like I'm interested in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the things that I think about and I read and I watch, but like I'm just so much more fascinated by all the facets of like the human suffering and human complexity that sometimes romance feels like the most predictable thing to me. It's probably like not that helpful for my career, considering that like all popular songs are about love. But that's just how I feel.
Have you been in love?
Have I been in love? Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been in love.
Like actual love?
Like where they love me back?
That's called mutual love.
That's only once.
I feel that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess I've been like properly in love where they love me back like 1 time, 2 times maybe.
Jury's still out?
Well, the second one was like one of these like it's clearly not available, like not right for that to happen, but like the feelings were there, you know.
Oh.
Not to overshare.
Could have been a lust.
Yeah, but I feel like you know, like when, but just the timing was wrong and whatever. But yeah, and other than that, not really. I get the ick really easily, like way too easily. I think like beyond the normal person, which is another thing I talk about.
As
in
like a
therapy.
defense mechanism?
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Like when they're actually available, I like find a reason to like be.
So you actually like things you know you can't have because you actually don't want to be in a relationship.
Yeah, but I do. I think maybe.
Well, I think being in a relationship it comes with like intense sharing, intense opening of oneself, and like,
Yeah.
there's a lot that comes with it.
But isn't it ironic that like I'm intensely sharing and like opening up myself in many ways right now, like in a public setting?
100%.
But then like in a relationship, I would have an extremely hard time doing that.
Totally different than somebody like, pissing, shitting, sleeping next to you, doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, and you also take on that person's baggage. Like there's a,
Yeah, that's true.
they have family. That's the whole thing. What?
I said it's beautiful the way you say that.
Yeah.
Kissing, shitting.
Pissing, shitting.
Yeah, it's like a dog.
Burping in bed, it's like farting in bed. Yeah.
Like, dude, chances are they're gonna fart while they sleep. It's
Yeah, totally.
It's called being a human. So prepare yourself.
Prepare yourself. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, I wonder. I don't really know. I definitely have to figure out the thing where I actually like someone who's like right for me. You know what I mean? Rather than the people that are like clearly not.
Yeah, they say like you'll find the right person will finally find you, or you find the right person, and then it'll all click, and you'll know.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is you have to be open and willing to receive the right person, because like if you're not in the energy or in the place to like put out an energy that like welcomes somebody in,
Yeah.
people are just gonna be scared away.
Yeah, totally. And again, like with Cali Sober, I feel like I was in that space last year and like had some amazing experiences, but that's just not where I am right now. Like I have never been in less of a mood to be sexy than like right now.
God, I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just not in the fucking mood.
Embrace it.
You know?
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of mental work.
Yeah, and it's just like a performance, and I'm just,
You perform enough.
tired. Yeah.
But by the way, eventually you'll find somebody where it doesn't feel like a performance, and then like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's another thing too.
Are you in a relationship?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's, yeah. Totally. I mean, I wouldn't know, but
Tell me about it.
yeah, no, I was kidding. How long have you been with your boo?
I don't know. Kelsey, what's the date? A year and a half, maybe now? A year and a half, yeah.
You just
Year and a half.
asked someone for a date, for a fact check
Yeah.
on how long you've been dating your partner? That's amazing.
And we got the answer in our ear.
Yeah, that was, I feel like you were like the president in that moment. You know, it's like, wow, that was interesting.
August 2023.
That is
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
What are you doing when you do that?
Coughing.
Just silence the microphone so we
Really?
don't pick it up. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, cool.
Yeah, long time, year and a half. Whoa. Long
So
time.
when you post this, is all of this junk, all of my in-between stuff going to be in there?
For sure.
All the, really?
Do you not want it in?
we can take out anything.
Okay, cool.
We usually just leave it. Hey, whatever you want out, we'll take out.
Okay, cool. I've said way too much, but I'll be
love
fine
it.
with most of it.
I really appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm having fun.
Slowly it dawns. And so like the process of this album, is it dawning, yes?
Yeah, it's like life dawns on you,
Yeah.
you know, and when you come into the world, you're like, everything's a little hazy, and you're kind of throwing punches and seeing what sticks, and yeah, and then you become more self-aware, and the mist sort of clears as you get older.
When you take your final form.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful album.
Thank you so much.
Link below, listen to it.
I've been really excited to do this, you guys, honestly.
Because you're a music nerd.
Yeah, I like watch all the interviews of everyone doing everything.
You're my favorite person. Thank you. Because like someone needs to be out there watching.
Yeah.
And it needs to be we're a show really for music nerds, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like people who love music
Absolutely.
and give a shit about how it's made.
Yeah. I love discovering that like all artists are just people, you know, just trying to figure it out.
Oh my God, yeah. And we all have way more in common than we ever have that separates us.
Totally.
And you realize that. by
That's
talking
the
to so
beautiful
many
thing
people.
about music, you know. That's like my favorite band is Radiohead, and I've been like deep in my Radiohead like winter era, you know, just like so emo. And God, there's just something for the darkest parts of your soul within their discography. I love it so much, and for the fact that they are like universally revered as like one of the best bands ever is so comforting to me, because they make really depressing music, you know, and I don't know why I find that so comforting, but like, yeah, I love. Do you know Johnny Greenwood's like film scores at all? Now I'm just going on a tangent.
No.
So Johnny Greenwood is in Radiohead, and he like composed the music to Phantom Thread and There Will Be Blood and a bunch of other like amazing films. And he's like an incredible string arranger and piano player. And having that like context of knowing his arrangements and where his like composer brain lives then gives new perspective to listening to Radiohead. And it's more than just Tom York, but Tom York's so amazing. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Can you like write music? Like, can you like?
Oh, I mean, I can, but I don't want to, you know, like I studied it, but it's not like, I like playing by ear, and the musicians that I play with are also skilled that they don't need
You don't need it.
sheet music, you know.
Do you want to score film one day?
I would love to. Yeah. I've been writing a lot of like ambient piano music, actually like really inspired by Johnny Greenwood. So yeah, one day that'd be amazing.
I love ambient music.
Me too. Yeah, one of my best friends is this guy, John Hopkins. I don't know if you ever listened to him, but he's like a huge
I know
DJ
that name.
in London. And he actually like, I mixed most of my record in his studio and like wrote totally fucking fine on his piano. And yeah, he like introduced me to ambient music. I saw him play at Royal Albert Hall, and he's amazing because he's like both a DJ and like an ambient piano player. So his show,
The duality is crazy.
the duality is
in
crazy,
that.
and that's literally that inspired my album.
It's
like,
amazing.
yeah, I was like, oh, this works, and he found the fans that like trust that in him. So I was watching, and people were like zenning out to piano music for 10 minutes, and then they'd get up and like rave for 10 minutes, and then they'd
Sick.
just go back and forth for a couple hours. And I was like, man, there's something for everyone. And he just totally, I talked to him about it afterwards. I was like, how did you know that would work to like fully embrace both sides of yourself? And he was like, I just trusted that the right people would find it. And that's what I'm trying to do. I have this poppy, confident side to myself, and I have a very wounded, introverted, emo singer-songwriter self. And depending on the day, you know, I just realized right now that I'm PMSing, so that's like part of the reason I've been so emo this whole interview. But like I flip-flop between the two selves, you know. So it's cool to like see an example of that being super valid and exciting and like a cool option as an artist, you know.
Experience those two selves. Listen to the album, Slowly It Dawns. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. You good?
Yeah, last question I have is, I'm sure you've talked about it a million times, but what was it like performing with Coldplay in front of like 200,000 people?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Hold on.
This is her 200,001 time talking about it.
It's just like when you watch those Glastonbury performances, you're like, that doesn't look real. There's so many people there.
Honestly, everybody asks about the crowd, but you just can't digest that that's what's happening. And there's so much going on behind the scenes. And yeah, there's like 100 crew people, and there's Chris, and Chris was the only person I was like worried about in that whole situation. I was like, he called me to do this. Initially, I was just trying to get tickets to Glastonbury. I texted him being like, hey, do you have like a hookup? And he called me. He was like, I have you one better, like come play with us. And I was like, okay. And so I learned this song. I was like meticulously learning every single note to the piano part, and just like praying to God that it would go okay. And then the rehearsals were so amazing, because I was like staying in the same hotel as Michael J. Fox, and he was such a hero, and we went to the rehearsal together, and it was just so cool to see Coldplay like behind the scenes and like putting together a show. And you know, like Chris was, you know, doing the frontman thing, but then also getting the crew up on stage in this rehearsal space and making everybody laugh and like dancing around and being goofy. And I was like, man, like it can be so high stress and high budget and all this stuff, and everyone can still have a good time. That was really cool to see. And then when the show actually happened, I was mostly just starstruck by like the 28 celebrities I met backstage right before going on stage. And then I was like, okay, now's the time to just make Chris proud. And I was just like very focused on my part. And I didn't even notice the crowd. Like I was really like just there. That's the honest answer. I was just like there to make Chris happy. And then Chris brought all of the features out at the end of the show, like all the guest artists, for a song called Humankind. And that's when I got to like step in like at the edge of the stage and look out. And that's when I really processed like, holy shit. I just sang to all those people. So yeah, I mean, it's the best day of my life. I honestly think nothing will ever top it. And I just can't, I honestly like can't believe it happened. But it also feels like a distant memory now, you know?
Was that the same show that Michael J. Fox played guitar at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get to talk to him at all?
Yeah. We were literally staying at the same hotel, so we would like hang out. And his guitar coach / like helper was my teacher at NYU, my professor. So that was like the reason that we like connected. And
What a small world.
I know, super small. And yeah, we like hung out in his like patio courtyard. He had like a whole wing of the hotel to himself. It was pretty baller. And he's just like a really wise dude. I always find like people who have like really been through it are the ones that have the best sense of humor and like are wise and deep. And I found meeting him to be so just so deep, you know, like I really gained a lot from getting to know him. Yeah, human resilience is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
That is definitely the best thing we have to offer is our resilience, I think.
Amen.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're incredibly special.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're amazing. This is great. Come back again.
Thanks for accepting me in my current form.
I mean, duh.
Yeah.
Literally anytime.
Wow.
Doors always open.
Awesome.
And you're going on tour soon.
I am, yeah. I'm going on tour through the States in February and March.
We're going to put a link below if you want to buy some tickets, which you should. And also, go listen to the album, Slowly It Dawns. Link below. You good?
Yep.
Yay.
Victoria, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
You're amazing.